This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 21st day of March in the year 2024. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. An irritated Vice President Barry Jagdeo this afternoon declared that the Guyana government wants to see the names of the persons or organizations that made submissions to the United Nations Human Rights Committee in the name of transparency. The government has been firing off at the UN Human Rights Committee after its members raised concern about allegations of corruption in the government, and specifically referenced allegations of corruption against Jagdeo. At a Freedom House press conference this afternoon, Mr. Jagdeo said a number of the issues raised at the UN committee hearing have been dealt with by his party over the years. He described it as the same old rhetoric from the opposition. Now, he believes the complaints did not come from just the opposition, and he wants to know the names of the organizations or persons who also filed complaints against his government.
We believe some NGOs submitted statements there. Well, they made submissions. So we want to see, for transparency purposes, we would like to see all the submissions. You can see our submission from government, but why should you keep the submissions from the others? And this is a body that enhances transparency, wants the great transparency, so it should be transparent in how it works too. And I would ask the media here to call all of the usual suspects and ask if they have submitted and would they make public their submissions, because we'd like to see where these so-called allegations originate from. If it's from the PNC or their proxy NGOs, the political NGOs that have come.
According to Mr. Jagdeo, despite the claims made during the UN Human Rights Committee hearing, the government of Guyana is transparent. He said the government intends to respond in greater detail to the questions that faced Governance Minister Judiciary.
So we are now going to be in writing, submit our responses to all the questions. We're working on that now, and I think the responses have to go soon. And we'll prove that Rick Fordberg is a criminal because he's wanted for criminal matters here. Every one of these issues we'll address in writing, and we will ask them to publish our responses to the questions.
The Vice President was adamant that the issues raised represented the work of the opposition.
All APNU propaganda. Every bit of it is APNU propaganda. We've dispelled all of these issues a million times before, but it's consistent with what I said just last week. Last week I pointed out that they cannot gain any traction here. They're trying to recreate the atmosphere of 2015.
The UN Human Rights Committee during its hearing raised a number of concerns about governance and democracy in Guyana, citing issues related to alleged acts of corruption, media intimidation, and police excesses, among others. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
holiday spending put a dent in your cash? Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Chief Education Officer Saddam Hussein admitted under oath today that he has no records of negotiations taking place between the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Teachers Union (GTU) as he took the witness box for a second day in the case brought against the government over its alleged failure to engage the union in collective bargaining, resulting in a nationwide teachers' strike. While being cross-examined by both the attorney for the teachers, Darren Wade, and counsel for the Ghana Trades Union Congress, senior counsel Royce Dilford, the chief education officer repeatedly failed to point the court to documents that would confirm that negotiation between the two sides took place on the union's multi-year agreement for the period 2019 to 2023. During the initial stage of today's hearing before Justice Sandil Kisoon, Wade questioned Hussein on whether there was really any negotiation taking place between the union and the Education Ministry. In response, Hussein told the court that negotiations on the proposed agreement took place. However, they were not recorded in the minutes of the meetings presented to the court. Picking up where Wade left off, senior counsel Royce Dilford grilled the chief education officer on whether the Education Ministry had submitted in writing its counter-proposal to the teachers' union, or a list of all the items reportedly acted upon by the Education Ministry. In response, the chief education officer told the court there was no written response. Relying on a letter sent to the Education Ministry by the General Secretary of the Teachers Union, Coretta MacDonald, Ford submitted to the court that as of December 31, 2023, the government had not submitted a counter-proposal to the union. Hussein admitted then that he had nothing to show that a counter-proposal was sent. Further, putting a series of questions to the chief education officer on the very documents he submitted to the court, Ford submitted that as of December 31, 2021, negotiations on the multi-year agreement had not commenced. He pointed Hussein to documents dated March 11, 2021, July 30, 2021, and December 31, 2021, when the union, through its president, Mark Light, inquired about a possible date for the commencement of negotiations on the proposal. But Hussein again maintained that negotiation had commenced, but it was not recorded. He, however, could not point the court to a document that would confirm that the Education Ministry had invited the union to a meeting to commence negotiation. His cross-examination is expected to continue tomorrow at 10 a.m. before Justice Kisoon. The issue of the prolonged absence of a substantive Chancellor and Chief Justice made it to the floor of the United Nations Human Rights Committee on Wednesday as Guyana was under its periodic review. Vice President of the committee, Mr. Jose Manuel Santos Pais, stated that by not confirming judges, it exposes the judiciary to control by the government. Assessing the issue from a human rights perspective, Pai stated that the benefits and security of tenure will also be affected. But in response, Minister Gail Teixeira reminded that the Chancellor and Chief Justice are appointed by agreement of the President and Leader of the Opposition, and that the parties have been unable to reach an agreement for some time. However, she said acting appointments in the judiciary is nothing new. She said too that the current formula of acting appointments has not resulted in direction from the government or lack of independence. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton had written to the president indicating his support for the confirmation of the current acting chancellor and the current acting chief justice in the two posts. However, there was no movement on the opposition leader's position.
Mobile Delvac Heavy Duty Lubricants. With more than 90 years of experience and innovation, Mobile Delvac is a recognized leader in advanced heavy duty lubricants. Discover how the state-of-the-art Mobile Delvac technology can help protect and extend the life of your diesel engines. Mobile Delvac, the trusted brand for many successful businesses. Protect your fleet and keep your vehicles on the road and out of the shop. Helped by Mobile Motor Oils. Distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo. From its pristine rivers to its abundant resources, it's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal is not happy with the line of questioning that the government has been facing in its appearance before the United Nations Human Rights Committee. Speaking during his weekly program Issues in the News, Mr. Nandlal said some of the questions are bordering on propaganda, while others seem to be misplaced. Governance Minister Gail Teixeira over the last few days has been grilled on a number of alleged human rights abuses and government and state excesses. But Mr. Nandlal said those asking the questions do not understand how the country's democracy works.
You know, the people who are asking these questions, they do not understand how our constitutional structure works. They do not understand how government in a constitutional democracy like ours works. So they're asking the government about investigating reports. Government does not investigate. I keep saying that over and over.
Mr. Nandlal said the questions being asked about government investigating acts of corruption are somewhat misplaced. He said agencies such as the Guyana Police Force, the Auditor General's Office, and the Special Organized Crime Unit, SUCU, are assigned agencies with investigative powers.
All these agencies, they're not government, they are state agencies. Government, these are agencies with investigative powers. Central government doesn't have investigative powers. The people who are asking these questions, they are unacquainted with and not educated about our governance structure and our constitution.
Mr. Nandlal took aim at the line of questioning from American human rights advocate Lawrence Helfer, saying that he appears to be taking talking points from the opposition.
This American guy who is asking this question obviously must have been influenced by what the APNU AFC did in Washington. Recall that they went there to have this big conference and confabulation about racism and corruption. Nothing came out of it, another hot potato. Well, this guy seemed to be borrowing from that propaganda.
Mr. Nandlal said the focus seemed to be directly at the government and not agencies tasked with carrying out certain responsibilities. The officials on the UN Human Rights Committee has stated that all of their information was checked and rechecked and didn't come from any one source. A father and son from Linden were arrested on Wednesday afternoon in the Providence community on the east bank of Demerara after they were nabbed with just over 24 pounds of cocaine. The Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit today announced the arrest of 55-year-old Adrian Carew and his 27-year-old son, Carvel Carew. Kanu said it was conducting an operation along the Providence public road on the east bank of Demerara when ranks intercepted a canter truck with the two men. A search of the truck found a number of brick-like parcels stashed in a box. Kanu said the men and the parcels were escorted to Kanu headquarters, where the contents of the parcel tested positive for cocaine. The two were immediately placed under arrest and informed of the offense of drug trafficking. Kanu said the matter remains under investigation.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
And now for your regional and international news. In the region, suspected gang members were killed during an attack on the Patientville neighborhood on the southern outskirts of Haiti's capital, as a clash with police and locals pointed to a resurgence of vigilante justice while the state remains absent. The latest outburst of violence comes as the political future of the crisis-racked Caribbean island nation hangs in limbo. A Reuters reporter saw two suspected gang members, including a leader known as McCandle, killed and set on fire. Footage seen by Reuters earlier showed the bodies lying and being dragged on the street, one man with his hands cut off. McCandle's family home was also set on fire. Radio RFM reported, citing police sources, that the local population had been involved in a shootout in Patientville, located on the southern edge of the capital Port-au-Prince. Grenada Wednesday rebranded its Citizenship by Investment (CBI) unit, with Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell saying he hopes it will result in more Grenadians supporting and defending this migration industry that has brought in revenue estimated at $456 million EC last year. Grenada is among a handful of Caribbean countries with CBI programs that allow for citizenship to foreign investors in return for making a significant investment in the socio-economic development of the island. Mitchell at the time was speaking at a ceremony at which the unit was renamed the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada. Mitchell said he believes that the rebranding should change Grenadian concepts of the migration industry. And finally tonight, international news. Ukraine has intercepted 31 missiles launched by Russia at Kiev overnight, Ukraine's Air Force said. At least 17 people, including a child, were injured by falling debris, 4 of whom are in hospital, authorities said. It is the largest Russian attack in weeks and follows a vow from Moscow for revenge over recent attacks by Ukraine on its border regions. The attacks prompted Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky to renew his call for more military aid from the Western allies. Several explosions were heard throughout Kiev shortly before dawn as its anti-missile defense system shot the rockets down. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.